Now, when you talk about routine maintenance on a diesel truck, it's a little bit more involved than your gasoline burning, vehicle, right? You usually do your oil changes, change the wipers, check the tires, and you're good to go. Diesel, though, it comes down to the contaminants that are in that diesel fuel. So you need to keep up with your fuel filters as well as your oil filters and make sure that system is regularly cleaned and checked out.
So we don't want to be doom and gloom, right? Because it's easy. But if you think about it, the oil change intervals that you have, the rule of thumb is that you could change your fuel filters out every other time. Well, that's
Right.
if you stayed true to your times. The problem is the diesel oil change is considerably more expensive. So guys are going to push that. They'll be like, you know what, I can wait a little bit. I can wait a little bit. And then if you're doing the fuel filters every other time, it can be a problem to what you said. So what happens is in the fuel system, it being dirty and inconsistent, then something's going through your line. It passes the filter because it's old. It gets into that CP4, that high pressure fuel pump. It goes through there. It can start degrading like the lobes on the inside of that. And that's just sending debris or little chunks of metal potentially down your entire fuel system. And that could be catastrophic. And again, I don't want to be doom and gloom, but this is pretty easy, right? And this is cheap insurance. So there's just a few more things that you want to pay attention to with a truck like this. So up underneath the truck, it's pretty easy to find out if we have any water in the diesel fuel. You can just come up to this little valve on the bottom side of the housing, and you just kind of crack that open and let some fuel get into a clear plastic bottle like this, and you can take a look at it. Now, I cheated a little bit. I'll admit that, because there was no water in the fuel in this truck, which is a good thing, right? So I put a little water in this bottle just so you could see the difference. That's the water, obviously, on the bottom, just so you could see that in case you haven't done that a lot in the past. And so at this point, if you were to see that, you would definitely want to start keeping an eye on that and maybe start the detective work of why that water was getting into your fuel system. So now at this point, unplug that. We can just get this housing down out of here and change out this filter. Oh, yeah, nice. We had all the filters and the maintenance parts that we had out here a little bit earlier. We got those from Alliant Power. And what Alliant Power is like a one-stop shop to keep your 6.7s on the road. And they do it for all the diesel stuff, too. You know, they're shipping probably 5,000 diesel parts, all of OEM quality every day. So these guys know what they've got. Now, let's say you're rolling in the diesel and you get the P0087 code. That's bad.
Uh-oh.
That's low-pressure fuel. That means your fuel system is failing. It's catastrophic, right, like we talked about potentially. And the problem with that is that if your fuel system fails, this is everything that you need to replace. But Alliant Power does make that a little bit easier.
You know, here's the thing. So how can your whole fuel system fail? Well, a part can give out, or something just as simple. Someone puts DEF into your diesel, and then everything is wiped out. So what you have to do then is you've got to replace all of this. Now, the nice thing with Alliant Power, it's one part number, one click, and you get everything you need to effectively swap out your entire fuel system. And it's not knockoff parts. They're OEM quality parts that are going to last and perform well. Now, think about this. If you had to, one by one, pick out all the parts and pieces you see here, go ahead and do this build, not only would it take you hours to do so, but inevitably, you're going to leave something out. It might be an O-ring or a washer or something that you need along the way, and you're into the build, and all of a sudden now you're missing that part, and you don't realize it until you're into the build. It's going to take you days, and you're going to be down for a long time. That's not the case with Alliant Power. Everything you need right here to get the job done.
Like Bruno said, every piece and part here on this table comes in one box, and that's why they call it the total package. But let's be honest, right? Unless you are a diesel specialist or you're just some dude with like freakish diesel knowledge, this is a difficult job to do. If you're not used to doing this,
right.
Scale of 1 to 10, this is like an 11, right? So, but the thing is, you can go right on the Alliant Power website and use their service locator tool. They've got over 500 companies nationwide that they work with, and you can actually find one close to you, and those guys can do the work for you. But let's talk about something real quick that leads to that catastrophic failure is the failure of the CP4 pump, and that is due most of the time due to bad lubrication of modern diesel fuel that we use here in the States. They also have the LubriGuard, which is just going to keep that lubricated and hopefully keep you from having problems and needing all this down the road. So they have a little bit of everything.
Yes, they do. A lot of everything.
Yeah.